I just want to make sure that everybody can see my screen real quick. So if somebody with a camera on can give me a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. Perfect. Thank you, Naomi. All right. Fantastic. So thank you for joining, everyone. I appreciate your time. This session is going to be running for probably about 30 minutes or so of me demonstrating to you our FIT groups process. The session will be narrated throughout, with the step-by-step on what we're doing here. And then we will be open for Q&A via chat. You will be able to go ahead and post your questions when the process completes, and then we will try to answer those. Any questions that are not answered during the session, we will get back to you on that in writing. The next area that I would like to cover is that this recording will be uploaded into our knowledge base, which you will also have access to it afterwards. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about FIT groups today. Okay. And we're going to go through basically a quick recap of think about what a group sales process is in SoftDrip Next, right? So essentially, there is always some sort of a lead that always comes into your business, right? Whether this is someone that is already in your system as a point of contact, right? Or whether someone that you ran into at the grocery store, or you received a call, or someone that approached you via, through, in any shape or form, right? So our goal here is to go ahead and take that contact information, take that lead, and convert them into a contact and into an opportunity. So SoftDrip has introduced a process called group opportunities. Okay. And in this step, we usually are trying to capture as much information about uh, what the customer wants, right? So we try to gather information such as the dates of departures, when they're traveling, right? What destination they're interested in travel, what type of budget or accommodations that they have interest in, right? So our goal is to take that opportunity, analyze that prospect, right? And provide some sort of a quote letter in order to go ahead and go through that sales process. Once we go through the quote process, right? Then there's a bit of maybe back and forth negotiations. You may have to work with your vendors to go ahead and gather some more finalized contracted rates, right? And then you would be able to go ahead and tweak your products. And then essentially, though, as you went through this quote process, right, the deal is basically in the bag, right? Because that means that the customer is very much interested and wants to proceed and go along with this. Okay. Now, and then, we essentially go through our registration process, right? When the trial bookings are created through our booking system. So when we're looking at these FIT group process, though, right, kind of a quick recap of what we were talking about is, we actually have to have a contact record, right? And then we have to create an opportunity. And essentially, it's not completely fair for me to go ahead and put it in these three buckets, but in our system, you can go ahead and take a look at it as, we have what we call our tour groups, right? A group into that you're booking into an existing a tour or departure and itinerary, right? And then you can take away some allotment from that. And then we have what we call just regular groups, right? Where it's a custom itinerary, right? It could be similar to your tour group itinerary, but maybe with some tweaks that is independent from a different departure date, right? And then we have this process called FIT group, which is you can go ahead and create custom itineraries, right, through our dynamic package process, also known as the vacation builder process. Okay. So we're going to go through these process right now. This is the main focus of our webinar today. So that is the steps that we're going to go through. Okay. We are currently in our demo FIT instance. So first thing that I would like to do is go to my contact search. In order for me to get to the contact search screen, I would go to marketing, contacts, and manage contacts, and go ahead and search for a point of contact that I need to go ahead and create the opportunity and the group code process to begin with. So as you know, in the screen, we have our search parameters. You can search based on first, last, email address, and then we also have some advanced search options in our contacts CRM. But there is no way to go ahead and add a new contact record at this point because our system would like to validate to make sure that this person already exists in your system or not. As soon as I go ahead and type in the name, my search button is enabled. Then I can go ahead and pick and choose a contact that I need to initiate this FIT group process with. Okay. So over here, we have our ID and name, address, phone, the contact status, date of birth, and when the contact was created. This is a form of validation to make sure that we are creating this FIT group for the correct person. Okay. If they're not this person that we're looking for, we can always click on the plus sign to create a new contact record, or we can pick and choose the one that we have in our system already. So I'm going to go ahead and click on select and open up that CRM contact. So in this scenario, we have our contact, and then we have our reservation history of past reservations that we have created, and these are some of the opportunity records. So the next step here is I'm going to go through with the creation of our opportunity process and give you a brief description of what that is. So we'll click on the plus sign. And we have now a form that is defaulted to a reservation opportunity. We're going to go ahead and change this from reservation to an FIT group. And as I update this, the form has been updated with different inputs here. So at this point, I can go ahead and start creating some of the information that I would like to gather, as I mentioned earlier on our demo, earlier on our slides, which was that, okay, this person contacted me. I want to go ahead and create to gather some information, right? So we'll be very creative with our name, and we'll call this webinar FIT group sample, okay? And over here, I can go ahead and start inputting in the departure date that the group leader or the opportunity entails that we need for, right? So this is going to be for May 8th, right? And we'll make it so that it is for 6 days. May 13 is the return date, right? And I can go ahead and start entering in other information that I would like to, right? So potentially how many passengers are going to go ahead and travel, what kind of accommodations they would be interested in, what type of budget that they have, and so on and so forth, and what type of group profile it is that we want to do, right? So is this a family trip? Is this a wedding? Is this just a regular vacation, right? We can go ahead and gather a number of information. Now, there's a path that we can take here, right? One is what we call go ahead and save the opportunity, right? And then go ahead and proceed to build your group process, right? Which basically allows you to go ahead and add reminders to your calendars to follow up with that lead into opportunity process, right? Say that, okay, I need to take X, Y, and Z actions in order to proceed further. Or we can go ahead and save and convert to a group right away. So what this will do is basically kick off our group number, right? That is unique to this custom itinerary that we're building, and kicking off our product creation session process. When I go ahead and click on save and convert to a group, the system is going to give me a prompt saying that, hey, do you still want to create an opportunity reminder? I'm going to say no to this because I am actually kicking off our group process. Okay, I'm going to say no to this here. The next screen that I'm on right now is what we call our product header section. A lot of you are probably familiar with this screen, right? This is when we go ahead and finalize the details of what the group name is going to be called, when our final what our departure dates are, right? And we can also go ahead and control our product status, right? Whether it's going to be loading or active or internal. The only information that is immediately required here right now is our market code. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and enter in Cancun, FIT group, right? And in the advanced fields, this is a time that you can always go back to it and modify it later, but this is the area that you can also change some of your deposit rules or final payment dates and the deposit dates right from here, right? So we can go ahead and make it so that for this group, we need the deposit amount to be a certain amount, and the deposit payment needs to be made at a certain date, and the final payment date is going to be this date, right? or we can just use our default rules, which is what your company policy rules are. And then the system would go ahead and take care of the rest for us. I'm going to go ahead and click on create. And now we are in our group summary page. Once I went ahead and created this group number here right now, right? I have my contact information. I have my departure date set, my market associated in here, but I don't have any accommodation information or passenger information. Now, with the FIT group process, right, we have a number of ways to go ahead, and we mentioned on our earlier on our session that we have a tour group, a regular group, right? A tour group is you can book into something, an existing departure that you may have, right? Taking some seats away from an existing departure. A group is different types of itineraries. You can copy an existing product or deviate from it, make some tweaks to it, and make it a unique departure if you'd like to, right? And then we have our FIT group process. So the one big main difference here in our process is what we call is our shop services into group button. What this does is it takes us to our dynamic package, also known as the vacation builder screen, in order to go ahead and shop for services in your list products in order to bring it into your group. Okay. So when I go ahead and click on shop services into group, this is our dynamic package search page, right? And over here, we can go ahead and start entering in some information and pick and choose some of the services that we wish to go ahead and bring into our group quote letter. So we're going to go ahead and select our destination. Now we're going to go ahead and pick and choose our dates, which we said May 8 to the 13. Click on apply and click on continue. I can go ahead and pick a transfer to, just to show you guys how we can go ahead and not only shop for hotel services, but potentially for other services that you may have as well. Let's go ahead and click on continue. Now at this page, right now, we have our list of hotels at that destination based on that list product. So we have the Grand Oasis Palm and then the Secrets Divine Cancun. And we have different room categories. We can go ahead and select what are 2 room categories that we wish to have. Click on continue to transfers. And then we can go ahead and pick and choose the types of transfers that we'd like to add into our group. So we'll add a round trip transfer here. And then over here, I can go ahead and pick and choose the date that the round trip transfer needs to be for. So in this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and add it on the arrival date because that's when they're going to be landing. And then click on book into group. Now, once I go ahead and book this into our group, as you can see that the 2 different room categories that I have, right, are labeled in here, right? And then we have our transfer services per room category added as the round trip transfers are added as optional services in here, okay? So the benefit behind this process is it speeds up our process to go ahead and create a quote letter, right? So we can go ahead and take this information, how quickly we built some sort of an itinerary through our list products, brought them into our group, and then I can go ahead and kick off our quoting process. So if you wanted to go ahead and spit out a quote letter and see what that looks like, we can go to the documents and quote letter. Okay. And then in this screen, we have a number of rule areas, right, that you can go ahead and customize per your group if you wanted to, or use the default ones. For example, we have the quote intro here, right? That is more unique towards, that is the general content. But if you wanted to go ahead and make any updates to this text here, you can make it so, make it more unique to that specific itinerary, right? And then the same idea goes in here with your agreements and terms and conditions. You can go ahead and make some of those changes in order to go ahead and spit out your quote letter to send it out. Now, the quote letter here that we have in our demo site, it's a very generic one, right? So every company has their own unique set of quote letters, right? So if you were to start using this application in our next platform, it would be directed to your regular quote letter with your set of rules to go ahead and update and modify uniquely as you desire to do so. But if we were to go ahead and preview what we had out of the box, right? When we click on preview, for example, the system is going to kick off our report system. It's going to go into that subfolder, insert the group number in here, and run that report for us. I just want to kind of display that real briefly to you guys. Right, so this is the quote letter that we have. It's pulling in some information about the group that we just created, right? And some other pages in here, right, of what is included, what is not included, and so on and so forth, all those terms and conditions that we have. Now, the next step out of this would be then, after you make your changes into your quote letter, right, you can go ahead and click on Documents, click on View and Send Documents. And under the Send Documents section, we can go ahead and send out this quote letter to your contact person that you wish to go ahead and send it to. And at this point, you would simply click on Send an Email. The system would go ahead and send the email with this body of the email and the attachment quote letter. Okay. Once you go ahead and do that, then you can go off to the races basically on, start negotiating back and forth about if there's any negotiation that needs to be made, or start kicking off your other processes. Okay. So let's go ahead and so at this point, the system went ahead and brought in a number of items, right, from our vacation builder, and there's basically whatever the pricing was actually on those services are coming up in here, right? So if I was to go ahead and enable this product, right, to be active for sale, I will go to Edit Header. The advanced options, change status. I'm going to turn this into an internal page right now and click on Save. And once I go ahead and click on Preview and Book, as you can see, our landing page right now has our product name that we have built up here, the accommodation information that we had pulled in from based on different room categories and pricing, whatever was shopped for is represented in here, right? We have our select dates, and we have our passenger section. We have some hotel details and some generic content for our landing page that you can customize and modify as you desire. Now, we have the total per person in here, right? This is what came out of the system, based on our shopping, right? But the next question could be that, hey, how do I go ahead and access and modify some of this content, such as pricing, right? That I want to go ahead and offer these packages for. So let's go ahead and dive into the back office a little bit to kind of walk through that process, how similar it is also compared to our prior sessions that we had in our groups process on how we can manage some of that content. So let's go to our other tab here, all right? And then in order for me to go ahead and update some of the details and see some of that information, let's go into our groups management system, our back office application. Let's go ahead and click on Add Services. Okay. So what our system did here is that when we're looking at the our back office application, right? We have our navigation on the left-hand panel, and the services that we brought in, right, from our shop process, right, into this product. The system went ahead and took all those values that was already existing and pre-built already, right? And as it took these values, right, based on the item roles that we have set up, right? So on our list product, for example, for transfers, it was set up as optional, right? So it brought in as optional. The hotel accommodation was required, so that's going to be an included item in here. Now, if you ever need to go ahead and deviate and make some changes to the item roles, right, you can do that in here, right? We can double click, you can click on the cell here and say that if I want to go ahead and include the transfer, right? As part of the group, you can go ahead and change those item roles, change the description of the services, and even change the cost of those components right from this grid in here, right? So if I wanted to go ahead and make it as, say, instead of 750, my new negotiated rate was 850, right? Let's say I can go ahead and change that, click on save, right? Oh, that did it per night, I guess, right? So we'll do that again. Sorry about that. Say per duration, yes. Nope. We do here, do 750. So we'll do, say, do 1200 here for now. Okay, that's because of that divisible there, the duration section in there. Okay. So that being said, you can go ahead and update some of the costing in here. Now, when you get to our cost summary screen, right, you can always go ahead and update your pricing in this section in here too. So if you wanted to go ahead and make this 1450 as your price, selling price based on that room category, you are free to do that. And once you go ahead and save and add selling prices, the system will go ahead and commit those values and start selling it at that new price that you have entered in here. You also have ways to go ahead and do this again, right? Continue doing this in your departure dates and prices. You can always update those values accordingly in order to go ahead and proceed and sell those components as you desire. Okay. So when it comes to our back office application also, right? Let's go through our pricing profile. So based on the setup right now, our system is taking your cost, right? Based on the pricing profile, it's giving you some sort of a markup, right? That's what it's calculating it based off of, right? But if we were to go to our departure dates and prices, we can always override it just like we did in our cost summary screen, right? We can go ahead and introduce the land price at a new price that we want to sell it for and update those pricing accordingly as we wish to do so. So that being said, when I go into our group summary page now, and when I click on preview and book, right? Based on what I have added in here, now my price is at 1450. Okay. Oh, this is not the. As you can see, it says 1450, where it's $1,000 on the different room category that we had, based on the pricing that I had updated. That being said, this is pretty much our FIT shop process. You know, it's very high level. So at this point, we can start taking some questions if you'd like. And we try to answer those in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Oh, I see the question already. Is inventory coming from FIT live load in this case? All right, so let's take a look at that. So as you can see here, when we brought in those components, the hotel service in here, the system went ahead and also created a unique block code. So the answer is no. In this scenario, the system is going to go ahead and create that unique block code that you can go ahead and create your inventory records accordingly. So if I was to do that here, we'll click on inventory. We can click on custom inventory. And then we have on the screen in here, the unique block codes that we can go ahead and create for that specific group. And we can go ahead and update those contracted allotted values. And then you have the number of rooms that you need to have. How is this different from the way we set a custom product today? That's kind of a broad question. So every company has their own unique way of creating their custom groups, right? some of the paths that we had here. Let me go ahead and pull this up again. Some companies that we work with, right? You can go ahead and bring in items from a different tour, right? Different packages that you have already built in that you're selling, right? With certain departure dates. You can go ahead and create your own custom itineraries, right? Which is a different path that we have. And this FIT group process is more towards basically shopping items from a list product in order to go ahead and create a quick itinerary and spit out a quick code with all the components already in place. I think we can use a definition of terms. What do you call an FIT group, etc.? Basic differences between custom FIT series, etc. kind of groups. Yes. Yes, that would be probably FIT group. Right. It's just a process that we introduce. It's basically a single destination, single city possibly with a shorter term, right? But nothing is stopping us to add multi-destinations into this process as well, right? Rate pulls from the specific product list. Yes, correct. Correct. So the rate that we had in here, it pulled in from the existing supplier services and rates that we have. So as you know, when we build our list products, right, we have already existing services and rates, right? And on that list product, we are able to extract that information and put it into a custom itinerary process, the FIT group process here. Would it be a dashboard where clients can make? Second, so would it be a dashboard where clients can make changes up to certain point? We don't allow the group leaders, right, or the customers to go ahead and make changes. We basically allow them to go ahead and shop and create their child bookings live if they wish to do so. And in that process, they can make some deviations to their own individual child bookings, right? And that process allows you to go ahead and change it from twin to a triple, or double to a single, and so on. Now, we also have what we call the flexible package option in here, right? So when I go ahead and preview and book, the way we had set this up here is, as you see, that our mainstay is from May 8 to 13, but the customers can go ahead and book something from May 6 to 13 if they wanted to arrive a few days earlier. So then they would kick off their booking process in order to proceed. So Oz, I don't see that navigation screen under product. Why? Mary, that's probably something we can take offline probably to troubleshoot. You may not have that option enabled there possibly, so we can take a look at that. Any other questions? Can we review deeper dive into tour group and custom group? We have created some knowledge base documentations, right? Let's go ahead and go in here. We did our webinars also. So we have our videos and webinars, right? And we have our links in here for those. It's in our channel. We usually do the deep dive sessions individually per client. We have made a number of efforts to approach customers, especially for our net to next projects, to go through these steps. And we do a little bit more deep dive into based on your business needs and how your workflow works usually in order for us to kind of navigate you through that process. Any other questions, comments, point of views? Okay. Just to show you guys also a little bit of a sneak peek right here for the booking flow wise, right? We talked about, okay, we created this group, right? And the shop experience, what that's going to be like. Let me just kind of walk you through that real briefly. And then if you guys have any other questions, then we can take those on and then we can end this session accordingly. Okay. So this is our next platform, right? Reservation next platform. And as you can see, we have our landing page. We're going to go ahead and click on book now. Right, and based on what I had set up already, as I pulled and extracted that information from our shop process, right, and based on the minor tweaks and updates that I had done already, right, the system is going to go ahead and give me a package price here. The transfers that I made it as required, they are right now as part of the included package here, the round trip transfers. We have our hotel information with more info section in here, right? And then we can go to our reservation overview, passenger page, and then the payment process. We'll go ahead and click on continue now. This is our reservation overview, right? The contact and the passenger information is going to be next. So at this point, I can go ahead and click on book this itinerary. Okay. And over here now, I can go ahead and search to see if this contact exists here already or not, right? Or I can go ahead and enter in the new name. So what we want to do is go ahead and start searching. So we'll type in Walter Hammond. Go ahead and search for Walter. As you can see, Walter doesn't exist yet, right? So we'll go ahead and make him a new contact. We can enter some of the information in here. So we'll make Walter here, born in 2000. And over here, we can go ahead and enter in other details that are required, right? On our booking flow, if anything is an asterisk here, indicates that it's a required field, and enter in any other information that we wish to do so. Next step is go ahead and search for the secondary passenger, right? So we'll search for myself this time, right? And then we can go ahead and pick and choose which one we want to do. Let's go ahead and select this contact. And as you can see, as I selected that contact, the system go ahead and pre-filled the contact record information that I already had, right? Such as my date of birth and gender and so on and so forth, right? And then the next step here is we're going to go ahead and pick and choose our insurance per passenger here, right? And then we can go ahead and pick and choose any type of preferences that they may have, right? Such as high floor, low floor, meal preferences, and so on. And these can be customized per your brand as you wish to do so. It's a number of configurations. We can help you with that. And then the next step would be continue to the payment page. Now, we have the credit card form here, right? Your guest would arrive into the credit card form where you can go ahead and enter in the credit card information. But on the payment page, as you can see here, we have basically a package summary, right? A summary of your services. So over here, the guests also would be able to see some of that information and the breakdown of how much is owed, right, accordingly. Now I'm going to go ahead and skip payment because this is not really configured right now, right? And in doing so, then it will finalize our reservation and give me an overview of our cart. Okay. So this is what the end user journey would be like, for your guests. If you send them this landing page, right, they would be able to go ahead and create their own reservations, or you can help them create those child bookings too, either manually or through our back office screen, right, where we have import passenger process also, that you can take a list of passengers and create these child bookings for them. After I created that child booking, right, though, what ends up happening here is under the passenger information section, we have our reservation number and all the guest information that already booked under this group, right? And then you can go ahead and export this list or export the rooming list. There's hyperlinks in here. And we have also a process called invite guests, which can send them a link to the landing page to other additional guests that you wish to invite them and send them off there. Any questions? Okay. If there are no questions, what we'll do is once this session is over, we will upload this to our Knowledge Center also for you to have access to. And oh, okay. Ooh, there's a question. Is there a link to your backend library you can include here? Backend library. Ooh, what do you mean by that, Casey? Sorry. Is there a method of storing communications with the contacts in groups? Is there a method of storing communication? Wherever the info is located. Okay, so if you, Casey, if you mean about our Knowledge Center, I'm assuming that's what you mean. Thank you, Mary. If you click on the question mark, right, on the top right section, there is a link to the Knowledge Center here. When you click here, we have a number of articles, right, and videos and the webinars. Okay, and we will provide you the direct links accordingly also, if you wish to do so, if you need it. Is there a method of storing communications with contacts in group? Not with the direct contact record. So we don't really have a way to go ahead and associate any type of communications from a contact record point of view. But the place where we can go ahead and store this information is usually in the child bookings itself, right? So if a contact has made any type of child bookings under you, we have a way to go ahead and store that information under messages. For example, we have under the process, we have receive message where you can drag and drop an email and save it against the child booking. Okay. Is there a question that I did not answer yet here? Is there a link to your backend number? Is there? Okay. All right. If there is no any other questions, just like to thank everyone for joining this session and appreciate your time. You'll receive a communication with some of this updated information. Okay. Thank you so much.